Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Today, we are with Creature Canyon, Ryan, and Austin. Welcome, guys. How are we on this beautiful Monday evening? Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us.
Doing good. How's it going, dog?
So, all the way from San Diego, California, one of my favorite cities in the world and the country. You know, if you were a real estate agent, like tell us why San Diego is great to live in.
Yeah, I mean, it's super relaxing, great weather, great food. What's not to like about San Diego?
Ryan, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's good, the food's good, people's good, the music's good, so all around pretty cool place.
So we got to know you guys through New Colossus, the New Colossus Festival in New York City. It happened earlier in March. Your first experience there, obviously your first time not in New York City, though, correct, fellas?
That is true. Do you know where we played the first time in New York City?
Central Park.
We were busking actually out of a halal truck. No, I'm just kidding. We played TVI in Brooklyn.
Okay. So, what did you think about this festival in particular? And was there a band that you saw or that you connected with in particular, or any agent or any, music industry people that you kind of met with that you connected with?
Yeah, we had a great experience. There was a lot of bands from we felt like from the UK that came over, made their way maybe before South by. So we had a couple shows with Adult Leisure and Alien Chicks we played with that were awesome. So we had a great time playing with those guys, kind of chopping it up after the shows and just hanging, just kind of like being outside on the street in New York City, kind of talking is like a real cool kind of vibe when you're out there. I mean, there's like so much going on. There's bike messengers whizzing right past you, and everyone's like walking, talking, going to a club, and it was a really cool experience.
Ryan, what was your experience there?
It was pretty crazy. It's just a big city and it was raining like most of the days we were there and we had all our gear, but it was overall a good experience.
I like that it was, literally you could walk to every venue. Like it was literally in a neighborhood. You didn't really feel like you were in New York City. You just kind of felt like you were in a neighborhood. Did you guys kind of feel that too?
Yeah, I mean, other than the rain, we usually walk a good amount, but it was challenging walking at least like, X amount of blocks with all of our gear in the rain. But it was very, like, we were definitely in like a pocket of New York. I agree.
Yeah, we stayed actually not too far from Wall Street. So, it was a little bit of a, about a 15-minute drive, I guess, if you were like actually driving to where we were, but we walked most of it on the way home and I mean, just soaking wet. Like it was just
Yeah,
we were there Thursday night into Friday, so I feel you. It was
yeah,
the rest of the week, I guess the weather was okay. It was just that night that was pretty rough.
yeah. I remember it very vividly.
So you guys did how many shows at New Colossus?
We did three.
And any of those three shows stand out in particular, or all three were equally good?
I really liked our show we did at New Blue, the club New Blue. That was really cool. I mean, and we ended up staying after. It was like a jam, a birthday party jam, and it was just like a really great sound there.
That's sweet. Yeah. So and then you guys then made your trek down to Austin. What did you do in between New Colossus then in Austin before South by?
Yeah, we went home for like a day, and then got ready to drive to Texas.
And then you drive to Texas. Any issues driving there? Smooth travels, no problems.
The only issue is it took us a couple of days. We were like, let's just get there quick, but you can't really like make the time go faster. So it's a couple day drive getting out there.
Did you learn anything about yourselves on that drive as a band?
I learned that I love gas station food. No, I'm just kidding. um, Man, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I learned anything. It's kind of just like getting out there is like mentally preparing on the sets and making sure we play good and kind of like preemptively kind of almost meditating getting out there. But yeah, I'm just trying to stay hydrated getting out there too.
It is amazing how much you drink, like how much you always feel like you're thirsty down in Texas. It is a weird. You don't get that in San Diego, do you?
No, I mean it's different out in Texas.
It's different. So, Ryan, we talked about this before we started. Like, when you're doing these festival dates and you're only doing like 30-minute sets, like how hard is it for you guys to, put together a 30-minute set?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just every show we kind of gauge like, I don't know, response of the crowd and if it's working or not. And we've kind of just played so many shows that we kind of know which ones work and which ones don't. Even though like on, streaming it might be, a top song, but it's just not hidden live for some reason. Just got to go with what the people are responding to.
Did you feel like the crowds in New York were different than the crowds in Austin and how they reacted to your music?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. What do you think, Austin?
Probably um not super like super different, but New York, I'm trying to like think back on it too, but New York was when we first got there, our first show was like, we like I think we just arrived. Yeah, we had the craziest day. I mean, we flew to New York. We got on two trains, you know, went to the subway at 5 o'clock on Friday with our gear, try to figure out how to get to the Lower East Side. Got there, took another train to the Lower East Side hotel, and then like had like I mean, and then we literally like put ourselves down and then had to get to the venue. So it was the craziest day. And then we played I think it was like New Berlin or something that was like underground. It was like a packed club. It was like a showcase for like I don't know, like a European. It was like booking agency who was all there, and we just got thrown into it. So it was the craziest day already, and like that was a great show. And I think yeah, I mean, and then South by was we had some sets that were like outside, or had some sets that were at the Continental Club, which is like famous blues club. So different. I think every venue we played was different. So I guess naturally that has like a different vibe.
Yeah. Well, and it helps you as a band too when you're playing different venues like that because you can kind of like you said, kind of like format on the fly, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're always gonna stick to the set we have, you know. But I guess moments energetically you pick up on differently as well with the crowd or the vibe or whatever it is.
Yeah. So for each of you, what was your best meal in Austin when you were down there?
Hmm.
Oh man, best meal. I mean, I know Ryan had Terry Blacks, but it knocked
Yeah.
him out for a couple of days.
Terry Blacks was pretty good. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Austin?
Man, I don't even remember eating food actually at South by Southwest, but
Just
I'm trying to
liquid.
think. I don't really remember. Like, did we eat? Um, I don't really remember any like notable meals, honestly. Um,
With
we didn't
Stug?
really have time to go to like to dinners like too much. Me and my wife actually had sushi at a spot that was actually really good.
Okay.
So that's up there, top of mind.
So did she travel with you to New York as well then, or just Austin?
Just awesome.
Okay. Okay. And Ryan, how about you? Significant other came with you then, or?
Yeah. She flew out, so that was nice to have her. So
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's always nice to have your significant other in a town like Austin, like you really do want to spend enjoy like the moments with, your significant other. So let's talk about so the venues you played. So Continental Club, obviously one of the most iconic venues, not in just Austin, but in the country. Where else then did we play then?
In Austin.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, we did a lot of shows.
Okay.
So we did the Swan Dive. I mean, we did the Brushy Street Commons was the last show I think you went to,
Yeah.
which was awesome venue. We did some of the food trucks. They had like a stage. Um,
Yeah, how was that? Because that was the show that we were going to go to. How was that show, the food truck show?
that was fun. I mean, it was sponsored by Yerba Mate, so they gave us like 10 cases. It was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of swag at South by, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, so let's talk about some other venues that are iconic just in your town, right? So the Casbah. The Casbah is what capacity is the Casbah?
It's
Maybe
like
like
50.
250.
And where
Yeah.
at in San Diego is the Casbah, just to give people a general idea.
I mean, it's like border of Little Italy, basically. It's like the end of Little Italy.
Okay. And tell us like some of the famous bands that have came through there, that have played there, and how many times have you guys played there?
I mean, we played there a handful of times. I mean, I know early 2000s, like White Stripes and like Tegan and Sarah, like awesome bands were rolling through there.
Wow. And Ryan, what's that place mean to you then as a venue?
It was like one of our first shows, maybe. I think we played on, wasn't even in the stage. It was like where the pool table is now. So, and then to go back and, play the real stage. Pretty cool.
And like, are they pretty much like 7 days a week shows, or how often do they do it, putting on shows there?
I think so. I think they're pretty operational. They're just, yeah.
And then the other place, the Belly Up Tavern, that is also in San Diego, or where is the Belly Up?
Well,
It's
there's two. There's one in Aspen and then one in San Diego.
it's
Okay.
like a Solana Beach, so probably like 40 minutes north of the Casbah or 30 minutes.
Okay.
So it's
And
like
what's
on.
the capacity there, and what makes that place so unique for both of you?
When you step in the belly up, you kind of like go into like 1970s. It's really cool. The one in San Diego, and it's like right on the beach, like behind the train tracks. So like not on the coast, but like a block or two from it. And just like it's a really really good vibe in there.
Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, it's just like a really professional like venue, like pretty cool spot. You'll see some pretty big bands roll through there. I think Austin saw like Spoon there like a few years ago.
Yeah, I did saw Spoon play like a one off kind of show there. It was really neat.
Oh yeah, I was handing out like a promo for the last time we did Belly Up, and I saw Kurt Vile just sitting out in the front, so I went and just said, "Hey, what's up?" And he invited me to the show, so I saw the show. Yeah, I saw Kurt Vile like the day before we played, so it's pretty cool.
Philly guy, he's got a new album coming out. That should be good. So yeah, so then um, the Belly Up, then you guys have played, or you've not played there then?
Yeah, we have a few times.
Okay, all right. So the music scene in San Diego, would you say it's thriving? It's kind of stagnant. It's kind of blah. Like, what would you how would you rate the music scene right now?
Oh
Mhm.
yes, it's thriving.
Seems like there's a lot of younger bands coming up, so it's pretty cool to see.
Okay.
Still playing instruments.
And a lot of these venues are still open, or have you seen a lot of venues close? Like, are there venues that support indie music, or is it more like cover bands?
No, Casbah, Soda Bar that we played a lot back in the day. Belia, Music Box, Soma. They're all like huge like main pieces of supporting like live music and the local scene as well. Yeah, I mean, San Diego's a great place to come and tour and play as well. So yeah, I mean they're very very much embedded into the local scene.
Do you find that most like bands, if they're doing a West Coast tour, they are they doing San Diego and then LA, or is it LA then San Diego, or how do you usually see like tour routing for bands?
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of like you said, it's all kind of like how are they routing it logistically, you
Yeah.
know? Are they coming like wherever they're mapping it to, you know? But it definitely is a major spot to stop by, a major market, you know?
Do you feel it's kind of a negative for you guys band if you are touring because you're kind of on one side of the country and not kind of like in Austin or in Chicago or in the Midwest, or do you guys not really think about that?
Well, that definitely makes it harder, you know? I mean, like logistically, right? Like
Yeah.
we weren't gonna drive to New York City to do New Colossus, you know, that just like would have been like, oh my gosh, that would have like just like killed us, you know? So unlike, if you lived in Chicago, like you could like, oh, maybe we could drive, for a weekend festival and come back, but it, I guess logistically, yeah, we're like on like the coast, so it's gonna make things like logistically like further for certain things, but we're young enough where it doesn't stop us like from going to play whatever we think is fun and cool.
Well, I know I hear a lot of bands that say, I can just like tour the state of Texas and like be sufficient. Could a band like from California realistically like tour California and like be sufficient?
I mean, probably not. I mean, you could hit really big cities like LA and San Francisco and in between, but that's just like tiny pieces to the whole, like how many other markets there are, like and I'm sure every band wants to try to conquer it all,
What do you think about that, Ryan?
Yeah, I think there's like a few major cities, but I think you gotta branch out, depends on, how big you're trying to get or fast you're trying to grow.
So,
We did a big West Coast tour once, and we played in Cottage Grove, Oregon, like tiny like arts town, and that was like awesome. Like the people there were so enthusiastic and like just you could tell they like love live music, and the response was great. So shout out to Cottage Grove.
and is that toward the coast then, or is that more inland in Oregon?
It's on the coast. Yeah, I think it was on our way up to Seattle.
Okay. So, of the West Coast cities that you did on that tour, was there a city that was really memorable to you, or a show that was really memorable, or did they all kind of just run together?
I mean, other than CG Oregon, you know what I mean? That was like the most memorable in my head.
Seattle was pretty crazy. It was like raining like nonstop when we got there, but it was a good show, like fun crowd. So
Oh yeah, there was. I remember there was like some homeless people like burning like trash like under the freeway over when we were like sound checking, and like I think the door was open and like it had like a really crazy smell, and I like asked one of the guys working there, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry, like they do that all the time." Just that was like a memory I had too. I guess they were used to like having like a burnt trash smell during sound checks. It was weird.
Great for the vocals, right?
Yeah, warms you up quick.
Literally. So, so the merch designs. I want to talk about these merch designs because you said that it's kind of a group effort, a collective effort. Some bands, art and all that stuff, it's really not a big deal. Like, how much is cover art and how much are these, merch designs important to like, the whole like branding of Creature Canyon?
Yeah, I mean they're very important. It keeps it fun and keeps it fresh for us, and not only us and the fans as well to maybe have a new shirt or something new every show. Ideally, is like a cool way to you know have them be collectible items and just help promote our band as well. When people go around town wearing our shirt, but I think at the core of it, we just wanted to be like something you would just throw in your closet to wear, regardless of like the band or not. It's like a cool shirt as well.
Yeah, it's aesthetically pleasing, right?
Yeah, something you would just wear. You'd be like, oh, that's a cool shirt.
hmm So have you guys run in the past to venues that charged you a percentage for your merchandise sales?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely it happens. I don't know specifically off the top of my head what was the past, but it happens. Sometimes venues do that, and it depends on your deal, I guess. But definitely, I think that was like that in Vancouver when we went up to tour in Vancouver, and we had to give them a little bit of a cut. And the I don't know what the currency is actually called in Canada. What's that called, Ryan? In Canada,
It's just a
Um,
dollar.
just a dollar.
it doesn't have a different name.
Not
Oh,
that I know.
Well, because it was like they don't use like you obviously like U.S. dollars. Where like
million
they were
dollars.
giving it. It's just called a dollar.
Yeah,
All
just
right,
kidding.
we'll call it Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was actually really interesting because everyone was paying us in Canadian dollars, so we were just like trying to figure out like the equations of like change and stuff, and they didn't have Venmo either, so we had to do it like through like a Canadian like PayPal account or something. It was interesting. We were just like figuring that out on the fly.
Yeah, that's like the last thing that you want to deal with, right?
Yeah, yeah, basically. It was like, okay, this is I guess we should have thought about this, but yeah, and like there was like a passcode, like people had to like remember we had to like capture all the passcode, like it was like security check, like what was everyone's like security check like word to like so we could like actually make sure it was like secure like deposit when like we left the venue. Like we had this like list of just like everyone's like security passcode words so like the transaction would go through. It was crazy.
It sounds like you played at Fort Knox, not at a venue. Jeez.
Yeah, basically.
Last time in Vancouver, huh?
Yeah, that was fun.
So have you ever had any issues with like because obviously you've been to Canada, you've been to other countries. Have you had any issues with like your equipment or anything like trying to get stuff back in?
Uh,
Not
we,
us.
we were good. Yeah, I think Carter had some problems at the border, so it's kind of a nightmare. We heard about it,
Yep. I've
but
heard some horror stories, so that's why I asked.
It helps that Ryan's a dual citizen, a dual Canadian citizen.
yeah, that might have helped us get across. So thankful for that.
So are either of your parents or any siblings musical as well, or are you guys the lone wolves?
Not really on my side.
Yeah, I mean, my dad had a guitar. I could play like Over the Hills and Far Away, but not too much beyond that. So
Okay. So how did you guys meet and how did this band all come together and what's Creature Canyon? What's the behind the name?
Yeah, well, all right. Taking you back to the start, dog.
Let's do it.
Um, get your popcorn. Basically, we grew up in the same town, like tiny neighborhood, same neighborhood, and we had different bands, played around over the years, and those bands disbanded, and we decided to start this band and put out an album, and that was kind of just like the start of how it formed, and it was just like the disbanding of previous acts into this, and yeah, the Creature Canyon name came from just a lot of pulling names out of a hat kind of thing, but Ryan, we kind of grew up near these canyons, a lot of canyons, like where we're from. There's a lot of hikes and famous kind of trails. So we like the word canyon, but we didn't really know what was going to be in front of it or behind it, and kind of just was like sporadically kind of like named. And I don't necessarily remember why or how, but we ended up liking the alliteration, and Creature Canyon was kind of cool, and it wasn't taken on the internet. So when you go, when you type it in, you're gonna get us, which is something to probably think about when you start a band. If you're on Spotify and there's 50 of your band name, that's gonna be problematic. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how we started.
All right. Ryan, any add to that story?
That's about it from what I remember. It's about, yeah.
You can tell that you guys definitely have a connection on stage. Like there, you can tell that you've played together for a while, and like you guys truly like each other. Like it's obvious to see that. Do do you feel that as well, or does it just come across naturally?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's pretty natural, you know. We're pretty chill guys and we've played I mean almost over a decade of music together on stages. So, like you said, like we've been playing for a while. So there's a rhythm and a flow, and every time you get back on a stage, there's a familiarity and like just kind of second nature that you develop over time. So yeah, it's been a decade in the making performing together.
So I hear a lot of bands that do it kind of do two different ways. One where some they'll, tour and then they'll write music. And other bands while they're touring, they're writing music. Like, do you guys have like a preferred way to write music? Like, are you doing it while you're touring or do you specifically wait until you're done off the road?
I think
Oh
we
man.
maybe on the road, but I mean, being like kind of just DIY, we're kind of just doing everything. So it kind of gets in the way of, just sitting there and, just writing music, which like is easier when you got no shows coming up, you can focus on that. But yeah, we try just to write as much as we can if we have downtime or whatever.
Is it hard for both of you to kind of, you always hear people talk about the work-life balance. Like, is it hard for both of you to kind of, integrate your work, music, life kind of balance because you're trying to deal with all of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's life. That's what life's kind of all about, is trying to balance everything, you know, uh, with everything, your family and what you eat and what you think and what you create and all that. So trying to master that is super important. But going back to what you asked about, like the tour, writing tour, I trying to find that balance is tough because theoretically, like we always are riding when want to be riding, but when we're going, having to drive to Texas or fly to New York or like our crazy month of March, like priority is like crushing the set, and I found myself like just like being exhausted from just like putting all that into that cup versus like, all right, when we get back, now we only have like one show left at the moment, finishing up new music, switching to that gear and really like kind of just like switching to that gear. I feel like it feels like is kind of like the balance of that, and essentially I feel like that's probably how like bands have done it historically, because like if you're going on a big tour, there's so many like intraday logistics. You got to get there, you got to do that, you got to find your hotel, you got to find your toothbrush. Like there's so much that you have to go execute at a high level. Like, if I get an idea, a melody or something, like I'll put it in my voice memos, like I do that every day, like multiple times of the day, try to, capture ideas, and I always like revisit things. But yeah, there definitely feels like switching of gears, like to like really like put the enough of the energy that you have, like your bandwidth, I guess, to like do a tour at the most like high level you think you can, because we put a lot of our energy into it.
How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta focus on, you know, the next day or the day, it's kind of a lot. So it's good to have some time to off to write.
Yeah. So let's talk about this Taylor GS Mini collab that you guys did. Super cool. I watched the video. You talked about it before we got, but let the audience know how that all happened.
Yeah, well, I believe our buddy Rowley introduced us to the Taylor team, the Taylor production team, and they were liking the song we did, American Movie, that you can check out. They were liking that song. They thought it'd be a good song for their new Taylor Mini GS Mini line, like release. So we were like, yeah, that sounds great. They're a San Diego brand, and just like us. So they had us come into Singing Serpent in San Diego, which is a great studio, and we re-recorded it with their guitars, acoustic version, and did a full production on the day. They filmed it, and essentially for their ad. And yeah, we had a great day, great time working with them, and they're super professional. And yeah, it was a great experience. And it came out as you can see the ad on YouTube and all that, and it was a really cool moment for us.
Did you learn anything from them, like, that you could take as a band, like from that experience? In like how they ran things and how they did things, or any like philosophical, like
Man, I mean, I don't know what I learned. I mean, obviously, because it was, they were trying to capture us as musicians, like performing. So they were coming from the production side of like film,
okay.
but their team was super pro. Everyone had their role, so having those roles established and everyone just doing what they do really well makes it really effortless for like us going in and having to like go sing and hear ourselves and sound good and feel confident, which they need to get out of us. So they're just pros.
So I ask bands this a lot, and I love to hear their different answers. So when you look at your music, it's on one side it's art, but on the other side it's a commodity, right? Because you are trying to make a living. How much of that is a battle for you guys as a band?
Battle as in like like
Like
influence.
you're not searching for that next top, like that hit single, like, or are you, like, are you looking, where are you at with relation to.
I think like when we're just writing music, we're kind of just trying to like feel it ourselves, and if we feel something from it, someone else is probably gonna,
Yeah.
get something out of it. So, and then at the end of the day, you're kind of if you're talking about commodity, like you got to market it yourself. That's like the tough part for us, I think, just like a marketing content aspect, which is not our strong suit. So.
Social media, right? Yeah, it's the bane of everybody. How do you guys, I mean, yeah, I mean, how do you guys approach social media? Like, that's a great question.
Well, I like to think of it. I mean, it's obviously vital. You know, it's embedded in anyone's marketing plan, or and it has its obviously like positives about it, but also a lot of negatives. But I mean, it's kind of just like the state of the music industry, entertainment industry, I guess, as a whole. Obviously, because you can market yourself around the globe at the fingertips of people's disposal, and it won't cost you as much as it would cost you to, you know, FedEx something back in 1974. But at least what I think we pride ourselves off of is writing great songs and people remembering us for our music versus remembering us for our Instagram reel that went viral, maybe. I think just at least at the core of it, it's just like writing great songs that can be forever and last the end of time. I think that's what I value at least the most out of writing and being a modern artist. But it is a wild battle of, everyone's trying to fight for the front page of the internet these days. And, it's sink or swim too. It's like, you got to understand it. You want to be relevant. You want to, obviously, like us being DIY, I mean, if we put out a song, like how we're going to push it, how we're going to get traction, how we're going to get streams. And we're lucky because we do have organic listeners and fans that really truly love the music like we do, which is a great thing to build off and a great core. But yeah, it's a very fast game with the internet and social media. Obviously it's a lot of it's built on trends, and it's weird because like I don't think our art is like our music's trendy, but you wanna be noticed, and everyone we want everyone to hear our music, right? So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but yeah, everyone, it's like it's the Wild West, man. I feel like at your fingertips, and everyone scrolls, and I feel like there's a new headline every minute, and sometimes it's too much, and I think people need to just put it down for a second, and go read or go listen to a vinyl album or something, and just like I think we're so connected and we're over like tapped in. Like I think I'm probably speaking for myself. Like it's good to just like tap out of it sometimes too.
It's a little easier to do that when you're in San Diego.
That's true.
Truth. Pennsylvania, I mean, we got, it's all around us. You got to escape it.
Yeah, that's why I like going to the beach and just like
Yeah.
being there.
Yeah.
And I usually don't have good self service too, which is a benefit. But it seems cleansing, and like whether you go into like the mountains or the desert or the beach or like the forest, like that's like seeming more valuable these days to me.
So I want to know, Ryan, when you go to a concert, now being in a band for, what, almost 10 years, almost 11 years, can you appreciate a concert going to see a band, or are you kind of, micro looking at everything, or can you like truly enjoy a live show now?
I mean, yeah, I can for sure enjoy a show, but yeah, those things, it's kind of two brains. You're like analytic, kind of s- thinking how things are going, how the show's working and, what they're doing behind it. But then you gotta just enjoy it, So I'll catch myself just like, all right, let me just enjoy this.
Yeah.
But yeah, always kind of analyzing. So,
We watched a lot of like the Coachella live streams this weekend. I watched Jack White's set, and
So good. Yeah.
not only like I'm taking notes, like idle, but like no notes for him, obviously, because he just, man, that was incredible. It was like my favorite set I've one of my favorite sets I've ever seen. Like he just went out and ripped it and just like got out of there. Like he could have played like, I mean, everyone could have just went home after that, honestly.
Yeah, like I'm never really like of all the major festivals, Coachella for me is kind of like whatever. Like it's usually like bullshit, but like this year's like there were some sets that were just like that the Nine Inch Noise set was unbelievable. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see that one. We'll have to
It's
check it out.
Yeah, Nine Inch Nails and Boys Noise. I guess they toured together this past year, and then they're coming out with an album, I guess, on Friday. But it
Oh,
was
nice.
unbelievable, like unbelievable. Moby's set was
Yeah.
unbelievable. Fatboy Slim's was awesome. Yeah, there was a lot of good sets. And that
Yeah.
have you ever been to that festival like as attendees?
I've been a few times, yeah.
So I mean, what is it like? Like tell us. Like I've never been there. Like what is it like?
I mean, Coachella's been around like a quarter century, right? Like it's been around. I mean, it's like the best weather in like Indio, Palm Springs, area that time of year. So you're like out in this like field with all the mountains, and like it's beautiful. I mean, it's just like a really cool feel. It's one of a kind. And it's like everyone's like kind of just like partying out there in the desert, and it's like it's a great energy. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing but like amazing, like from my experience being there.
Ryan, have you ever gone?
yeah, I went a few times. I think the last time I went, that was when the Strokes headlined last time. So that was, a while ago.
Yeah, I mean their set was amazing. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
they opened for Bieber at the last yeah this past weekend.
I loved how he talked about the draft too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually you got two sets during that. You got the Strokes and then Julian Casablancas' stand-up debut. Actually, that was it was classic.
Yeah, I heard Bieber's set was kind of uninspiring, which that's too bad because that crowd was crazy. Like they said that was like the biggest headline crowd they'd seen in years.
Yeah, I didn't really catch much of that set, but it wasn't reviewed well, or it's kind
Yeah.
of chill.
It's amazing that a festival like that can have Jack White at what, 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, I think he was like, I mean, they put him on like really like
Last
last
minute.
minute,
Yeah.
you know. But what a treat, what a treat of like an addition to that festival. Just a
The
rock legend in the flesh.
the Radiohead exhibit too, I'm dying to see. Like, I guess that premiered too at Coachella this weekend. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like an underground kind of thing.
Yeah. So they're doing
Yeah,
it
I was
in
like,
Brooklyn. So we
I saw that
requested
on the
tickets.
festival list. Yeah,
Yeah. We'll see. That's my number one. I don't know about you guys. What's your take on Radiohead? Where are you guys at with them?
is that your favorite band?
Number one all time.
Number one all time.
Yeah.
That's cool, dog.
My first
Yeah,
concert, you'll appreciate this, was in 1996. I was a senior in high school, and this Canadian artist named Alanis Morissette had released Jagged Little Thrill that year. And so
yeah,
she came to Hershey Park Stadium, and this little band opened up for her called Radiohead. And I
Nice.
just, after seeing them live open up for her, I was sold. And so that was,
yeah.
30 years ago.
Legends, legends, dude.
Yeah. Have you guys seen them live?
Yeah, I saw him at Coachella last time. I think I saw Tom York's solo project also, like maybe a few years before. So pretty rad
Respect.
show.
I
Respect.
haven't actually. I haven't seen him play.
Yeah. Well, the word is I have some very reliable sources that the album is done, and they are going to tour in the U.S. in 2027, with possibility of headlining Glastonbury in 2027 as well. So that's
Sick.
my goal because I'm turning 50 next year, and I've never been to Europe. I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico, I've been to the Caribbean, but I want to go to Glastonbury. So I'm hoping that either Oasis or Radiohead headlines it to make it kind of like that extra
Yeah,
special.
that sounds like an awesome plan, dude. You got to do that for sure.
Yep.
Make
Yeah.
it special.
Make it special. So let's talk about this is special. You guys, your song Brooklyn Baby was in the TV series Shameless. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, we have a sync team that works for us that pitches our music in LA, and they just called us, and we wait for the call usually, and they told us that it got it in Shameless. We were stoked, and yeah, it was like one of the last seasons, so it was pretty sweet to see one of our tracks in a show that I actually personally like watched. So that was cool.
So what episode was it in? Do you remember? Like,
Oh man, I don't remember exactly what episode it was in. You can find it online though. It's definitely searchable.
okay. Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, what a great what a great series. Like,
Yeah, it was like a crazy show.
yeah. That's so what I mean, do you remember like the circumstances like when your song was being played? Like what was the scene about? Like
I remember it was like a montage of like all these like famous like it was like parks and museums and like they were
ah,
like yeah, it was like a montage of scenery or something in the town in
okay.
like Chicago, maybe like downtown or something.
So that is an additional stream of revenue now for bands. Like talk about how syncs kind of work and like, like that whole process because I'm not real familiar with it as well.
Yeah, well, music is just so important, obviously giving the emotion to life in general, but also productions of TV shows and films and commercials and ads and stuff. So we're as the artists, the production crews, they need that. So companies, where small or big, represent artists all throughout whoever and pitch to get it, like into TV shows or whatever that may be needed. So it's a big industry, obviously, for bands like us and artists, trying to make, extra income and all that, and it's great, and extra exposure as well, and that's a huge part of the pie as being an artist.
So yeah, I mean, like, so what other syncs have you done then, other than Shameless, and anything in the future that you have going on?
Yeah, well, we had a song in Criminal Minds last year. Back when we first started the band, actually, we were in the running for like a Verizon commercial. It was us and Justin Bieber. They were like, it's down to two, you guys and Justin Bieber. It was our song, I think, Life I Know. It was for a Verizon commercial, and it was like Justin Bieber's Baby. It was like right early, like late 2000s, like 2017 or something. And we didn't get it, obviously. Justin Bieber got it. But yeah, so there's moments where we get, you get close and you're like, oh man, we might have this or not, and kind of goes another way or not. But yeah, so the last one we had was in Criminal Minds.
Okay. I mean, but you've been used to being in second place before because you guys won second place at the San Diego County Fair Battle of the Bands. Talk about that experience, and like we talked about before, like there's really not many other bands that were on that bill that are still even going on. So you're like the lone wolves, right?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, that was a long, long time ago, but I remember our buddy Tim Piles was one of the judges. So shout out to Tim.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you hear about that though, like bands that, either apply for American Idol or something like that, or yeah, battle the bands in their local, like, the radio station or something like that. Like, you have to start somewhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how did that catapult you from it at that time, to that next level that you wanted to get to?
Oh man. I don't know if that catapulted us, but we definitely had something fun to put above our fireplace mantle after that. We were looking at that like every day, like, yeah, we got that second place. So no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean that was like pretty early when we started the band. So I don't even remember how we came about doing that. But yeah, we kind of it probably was one of our first handful of shows we've done too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean it was a while ago.
kind of funded our first album we put out. Went to Studio West and just had a day or two to record and then got it done.
So with the EP that you put out in 2018, how many songs did you go into that, and how many, like, you ended up with what, 5 songs on that or 6 songs?
On the EP, I think it was maybe six.
Okay. And how many songs did you have going in, or did you have those 6 songs and that's what you had going in?
For which album? The,
Did you want that for the EP?
oh yeah, so I think that was more like recording, just home recording
Okay.
and we did like some drums in LA. But for the very first album, Life I Know, was kind of like we only had 10 songs and we're going in, record all these.
Okay. And so for this album, or for the new music that we have going on now, right? What is the vibe? How are we approaching this album different than the previous?
Yeah, I mean it's not super different of just us trying to write great songs, but it's the vibe is definitely like super exciting and a journey of feeling real emotions. I've like things everyone kind of consistently could go through. So definitely trying to translate a lot of those real emotions that we have into that. But can't give too much away so far, but we're definitely pumped on it.
So are we typically music first and then lyrics, or are we lyrics first and then music, or is it really kind of depend on the song?
Definitely depends on the song. Um, Probably for me, it's probably more like music vibe melodies first, but also there's something to be said about like actually having like a story written down as like a poem or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, first too, and then throwing that. So there's millions of different ways, but usually it starts kind of maybe with like a vibe or like a feel, and it's kind of like what is that, what is this feeling like,
Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm more music oriented first, like, and then see where it takes me. So,
And bands that you've been listening to during this album that might be different than what you've listened to in the past, or you guys that not really matter to you.
mm, probably not like influence as much. So we try and just like try and do our own thing as much as we think we are doing, you know? So,
Yeah.
and stay in our own lane.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you're making a record because it's like you want to take all the inspiration, but it's like you're working and critiquing on your own like music so much, it's hard to like critique for or even like get out of like your box of like listening to like other music or new music or like all that. It's like you're just like so zoned in. Like I'll be thinking like I'll spend a whole day like thinking of like a snare ghost note. I'm like dialed into this stuff for the whole day, and I'm like, yeah, like when I get home, like I know exactly where I'm gonna put that like ghost note snare, like in like the middle eighth section, and it's like so neurotic and like it's like all we kind of like are living right now, and it's hard to like break out of that like shell or whatever cave. Like we like when we're thinking of structures and like doing our day, like it's like very very like energy taking of like our own creation. So it's like we're baking a cake like every second of the day, and we have to like not like check in on it, but also have to like monitor like how it's going and like all that. It's interesting. It's a really fascinating project process, like living and breathing, making like a new record or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I often will ask bands this, and again, you get like fascinating answers. I want to hear your take on this. So, this notion that, up until you release these songs into the world, they're yours. But once you release them, then they're everybody else's. Like, is that kind of a little bit of a mind fuck, or is that something that you accept and you're cool with that?
We're definitely cool with it because the only stuff like we release are stuff that we're like stoked on. Probably any artist, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting thing. You have to kind of let it go and let everyone have it, and everyone has it as their own interpretation, and that's now everyone's to the world. So it's actually quite freeing, because it could be frustrating if you're working on a song for 2 years. No, where's it? That's more of a mind fuck actually than finishing music and letting it go and releasing it and moving on, right? It's very fluid and free and like natural. But yeah, it's like when you maybe if you get stuck and like if you weren't releasing it and you're working on it and you're just like it becomes unfamiliar at a certain point, and it's like there's like you could be listening to a song you have for X amount of moments, and if you listen to it or critique it too hard, you may not even know what it sounds like anymore. So I think the latter of that like is more of a mind fuck, not the like free like let your art go and everyone gets it and it's out there and it now has a life. It's more scary to like maybe like spin your wheels on and not even know what shit sounds like anymore and not release it.
Yeah, what do you think, Ryan? Any take on that?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just work on something for quite a while or not too much time and then just set it free and, on to the next thing. And these things come back to you because, people listen to it and they remind you. So just got to keep going though.
It's amazing to me too that in this industry or in this like art form, right? You have bands that will put out two albums in a year, and then you'll have a band that doesn't put out an album in 17 years. It's so fascinating to me. Like, do you guys think about that like as bands and artists?
Mhm.
Definitely. I mean, Definitely. I mean, some of my older favorite artists put out a record maybe once a decade now, you know? And I mean, if you're a newer artist, like, you kind of have to be releasing more and being more top of mind and just like keeping up with the current kind of just like, saturation of new music, you know?
What do you think about that, Ryan?
Yeah, it's kind of different schools of thought on it, releasing every 4 weeks or, once a year. It's kind of, I think, where you're at in your career, I guess. At least these days, when you're trying to break through, you just got to be, releasing as much as you can.
And the business model has changed too. I mean, obviously, like now with streaming, singles are so much more important. Like, back in the day, a CD was a big deal, like bands were doing albums. Like, it has really changed the mindset. Like, how do you guys approach that?
Yeah, well, I mean, over the last probably close to 2 years, we kind of just switched our gears a bit, and we're like, let's just like put out some songs every like 6, 7 weeks. And actually, we got into a good rhythm. We are like doing it all of ourselves too. It was like write, record, send the mix, get it back, upload it to streaming, and then figure out the content, and then like rinse and repeat. But we got into a good rhythm, and like we're rewarded with the streaming algorithmic gods and all that for at moments, and also could tell like our fan base was like eager to hear the consistency of new music, and just like I would be like super stoked to like keep hearing the next and what's the next and anticipating that and all that. And yeah, we've been doing consistent singles for a good amount of time in the last couple of years. And then artistically, you're always kind of thinking, what can we sink our teeth in next? And I think it's maybe of a bigger, fleshed out project, and a, like a feel and like big something that you can really sink your teeth into. But yeah, I mean the new school way is definitely singles, and like very just like being top of mind, and people can keep continuously like jamming out to your music and new stuff especially.
So my last question for you both. I want to know if MTV approached you and asked you guys to do an unplugged episode, what is the one song based on the story and the song that you would translate best to acoustic that you guys would pick?
I like the question, dog.
The tough one.
You
I'm trying to
you're
think.
talking about like not like what's like the best song of ours that sounds acoustic. What is like the song that is like you can explain
Correct.
and
Based on
and
story as well as the song itself. Yeah. What would you pick as your unplugged song?
man, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Because you guys have a lot of songs. Like that's why, I figured that's a good question to ask.
I'm looking on Spotify what our songs are right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to just think of like top of my mind.
Ryan, you have an idea, maybe?
None are coming to me. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, American Movie would be a song to play acoustically, and that was a song that resonated with people. I think lyric from the lyric content. We barely did any promotion on that one, and that one like shot to 1 million streams. Um,
Yeah,
so there's something to unpack with that song, and I think it's very evocative. Where people who listen to that, I think they maybe summarize in their own way what those lyrics mean. It's not necessarily. It's very open ended. So that one is like kind of ambiguous to like interpretation, which I think is why it's resonated on streaming. And, especially in this day and age, I think it's like, man, it's a thinker, I think. And I think that's why it's done so well so far on streaming for us.
I think that's a great answer. Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. So we got this show on the 22nd of the month at Gold Diggers in LA. Have we played there before? And tell the audience like what's that venue kind of like?
I don't think we've played there before, but I used to live right down the street, and I met one of the dudes from Workaholics there one time. He definitely remembers that. But the vibe is it'll be cool. It's LA Rock Night. We're playing with Sego. So we're playing with them in their hometown. They just played with us at the Casbah. So I mean that's gonna be a really awesome night of rock and roll music, and it's a free show too. So the link's online. So it's just first come first serve before it's no more tickets available. But it'll be a free show, a free rock show on Wednesday in LA.
Man, if I was in LA on that night, I would be there. So,
Get
guys,
out there, dog.
guys, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it, and best of luck, man. Like, I can't wait to hear the new music that maybe we'll hear this year and maybe not, right?
Yeah, we shall see, but definitely just stay tuned and stay followed, and we'll definitely give everyone updates in real time, through our social media and all that. But it was good meeting you, man, in New York. It was nice to meet you at
Absolutely.
that show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell everybody your socials, best way to find you, what's your website?
It's creaturecanyonmusic.com, but yeah, you can just search Creature Canyon in anything and it'll come up. So you can find us there.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands and artists like Creature Canyon. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. So, and as always, don't be, or I'm sorry. Oh, shit. As always,
You got me on that raw thing,
you
dude.
got me. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast. Hell yeah.